slightly loose. Okay, we're live streaming. In 5, 4, 3.
Greetings, ladies and gents. My name is Alan. I'm joined by my co-host, Ciprian.
Hi.
We are AC Current. Today with us, we have Terry Lee, Senior Tutor of Radio and Audio for the University of Bedfordshire.
He's also responsible for Radio Lab 97.1 FM, which is a award-winning student radio station.
Besides all of this, Terry runs 2 award-winning podcasts, Fantastic Noise and Primrose and Terry in the Shed.
Hello, Terry.
Hello. Thanks for the welcome.
Thank you that you accept our invitation.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
delighted.
So you've been working here for 8 years. How was that like? How was that experience?
Being at the university, well, I mean, I love working at the University of Bedfordshire. And it was quite a different place to where I was before. In Norwich, I used to manage a radio station called Future Radio, which was part of a charity, and it was a radio station that worked with the whole Norwich community. But coming to the University of Bedfordshire and taking on the job at Radio Lab gave me a chance to really focus on working with young people and training young people to develop skills. And I really have welcomed for my own development and sanity the chance to I guess, progress myself and build on my own skills and focus on working with younger people. It's been a joy.
Can you share with us some highlights?
What for working at the university? I guess over the years I have really enjoyed, seeing students start here and go on to work in professional industry and sometimes going on to take on completely different jobs to the ones I might have expected them to do. I won't name too many names, but for example, one student who was a manager at the radio station, Radio Lab, went on to become a 999 call handler. And at the time you think, well, that's an interesting development, but it's because of the skills he learned in talking with people and working with people that made him suitable for a post like that. But then again, we have lots of students who've gone on to work for local BBC stations or commercial radio or even recently ITV, a radio student's gone on to work for ITV.
I'm curious if you have some funny stories with your students.
I mean, there are lots of funny. I mean, you say funny, and then I think about it. At the time, it might not have been funny, but things going wrong at the radio station all the time. The thing with Radio Lab is it's a fully live, active, 24 hours a day, all year round radio station. So there are going to be moments where things go wrong, or students broadcast programs. In fact, they haven't been broadcast at all because they've been in the wrong studio and things like that, and it's just gone to nowhere. So these things happen, but it's all part of the learning curve. And being at a place like the university, I really am keen to stress how important it is for our volunteers and students to be able to make mistakes and learn from them.
Yeah. Here you can make mistakes. Here in university, after that, it's
Exactly.
difficult.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Get them out here.
Exactly. That's my ethos in many ways.
Yeah. So besides what you're doing for the university, the Radio Lab, the 2 podcasts you have, how do you fix this whole work-life balance?
Well, I guess the first podcast, Fantastic Noise, is very much linked with the university. It's about teaching radio and audio skills, and I speak with professionals, and it's kind of like research for me in many ways, because I'm speaking to industry professionals, finding out about how they do the job they do, and then trying to use the information I gain from that and spread it to students, and I use those podcasts in teaching as well. Whereas the Primrose and Terry in the Shed podcast's somewhat different, although I guess there is an educational angle, because it started when, in 2020, I realised that my then 7-year-old daughter and I were going to be spending a lot more time together where she wasn't at school, and I asked her about things that she was interested in doing, and she wanted to do radio things, so the podcast was a natural step, and she got involved in all sorts of production elements. In as far as a 7-year-old can, and obviously it went on to have a lot of success, which was unexpected to say the least.
Yeah, I'm curious. Whose idea was the Primrose? Yeah, it was her idea.
It was her idea to do something with radio, and I took it to the stage of a podcast would make sense and would be something we could do sustainably, and that would be fun.
How has stardom affect your daughter?
It's a good, I mean, there have been a number of occasions where she's highlighted that she presents an award-winning podcast, and that people should respect her more for that. And she has got the award in Pride of Place in our lounge that she won for the Community Radio Awards Best Podcast in 2020. I mean, that was such a treat. It was bizarre and strange, but Primrose is a very eloquent young lady. I would say that she's my daughter, but she speaks so well, and yet she was so excited. Yeah, she was so excited to win that award.
Yeah, definitely. So, if you were to create a new podcast, budget is not an issue. What kind of a podcast would we see from you?
Oh, wow. I mean, if budget and time were not an issue, I quite like the idea of travelling and doing journeys, because I think a journey is an obvious timeline to a story. I've done a couple of audio projects, in fact one last year. I did a train project to promote the Marston Vale line in Bedfordshire, and it was with the Greensand Country Festival. And it was about the train line between Bletchley and Bedford. And the idea of getting off at stops along the way and telling a story that way. If I had an unlimited time and budget, I would think perhaps more exotic journeys, leaving the county perhaps, going abroad, things like that. I don't know where, but I guess doing a podcast with a journey that has a wider story to tell is probably what I would like to do. That would be a lot of fun.
Would you like to invite someone special? I don't know what guest would you get?
Oh, I mean, there are loads of people I have had the privilege of talking to who it's exciting for me to talk to, like in the radio industry and things like that. It would really depend on where I was, and sometimes I think the more interesting interviews and people you speak to are not necessarily the most famous people. Saying that, saying all of that, I guess if I could speak with anyone, it would probably be someone like Paul McCartney, the former Beatle, because I'm watching the Get Back documentaries on the television about the Beatles in 1969. I love all the music the Beatles ever made.
Big Beatles fan.
Yeah, big Beatles fan. Yeah. So I would love to talk to him or Ringo Starr to find out a little bit more. I'm sure they wouldn't give away much. They've done too many interviews already, but that would be a real privilege, something like that.
Yeah, of course. Why do you think the podcasts are so mainstream these days? In the last years.
Great question. I think podcasts have really taken off with the rise of people having smartphones in their pocket. It's that immediate ease of access, not just having smartphones, I should stress, having data and not worrying about how to listen. So people increasingly have a smartphone with earphones, and they can listen to things on demand and not worry about how easy it is to access. So now people know that podcasts are an option, either to make or to listen to. That's why we have so many celebrities releasing podcasts, because everyone's trying to promote their own brands and tell their own stories, and ultimately that will continue. I think it's notable there haven't been any big smash hit podcasts in recent years like there were 5 years ago when it was really on the rise, but I think the way of podcasting as a way of sharing audio is here to stay long term.
Yeah. Do you were talking about brands. Do you think maybe right now a lot of podcasts are independent? Do you think we might go to a point where a lot of podcasts become corporate backed?
Oh yeah, I mean, undoubtedly. I mean, I think that when I talk brands, I'm talking about both companies and personality brands, but ultimately, any organisations that want to get there communication out there are going to turn to podcasting if they haven't already, and a lot of them have. And some are even using podcasting as a way of telling creative stories that are broadly linked to brands. I know a lot of car brands are doing this and winning awards and things like that. So I would expect that trend to continue, and I would expect students from institutions like the University of Bedfordshire to end up getting employed by companies and producers to help make these audio pieces.
Okay. Unfortunately, we are out of time. Thank you very much. We enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed as well.
I really did. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So that was all from us. See you next time.